Hello, Professor Jimenez. This is Nathan Farrell here to discuss my design concept for the ideation module. So, as you may know, my project is about figuring out the balance within my fraternity, within our executive board, because a lot of members who are very close friends and have grown up together end up getting to hold multiple positions on our executive board, which causes a discourse and imbalance within not only the general members but the executive team. So today I'm going to discuss just a couple of ideas and methods to clearly solve my problem from the problem statement previous assignment, and here's just how I'm going to kind of go over that. The first thing I'm going to talk about is re-expression, or re-evaluating the ideas within our constitution and bylaws of potentially changing certain aspects. The second thing I'm going to discuss is I actually spoke with a general member and an executive member to kind of discuss what their thoughts and opinions are based on this type of topic and whether this change actually needs to be implemented or if it's just an egocentric bias that I'm personally seeing. And finally, we're going to discuss how we can actively make those changes in order to continue growing within our fraternity and continuing the longevity of the chapter as a whole. So kind of like I stated, I want to talk about re-expression for a minute. So within re-expression, basically the definition of that is expressing something, then finding another way by changing either the wording or the atmosphere or the target audience to express it to again. So within re-expression, we actually have a position on our executive board called Member at Large. Now, the entire role of Member at Large is to be the bridge between our executive board and our general members. So within this position, their entire goal for their year is to get any ideas from our executive board or get any ideas from our general members and implement both of those simultaneously. Now, the issue with this position is in our previous years, this position's not been used properly. This position's primarily focused on ritual for initiation and other events we may have, as well as different positions such as Most Valuable Pike Award, because my fraternity is Pi Kappa Alpha, where we recognize one brother every week stating something that they've done positively to benefit the chapter. So within this position, we have to look at two different factors. One, why is it the bridge, and why is it not connecting? And here's the issue. Within our previous years, we've selected members who have been actively within what we call an inner circle, which is within the executive board and in that close friend group. We're not selecting someone who's been unbiased within our organization and our brotherhood, and this is causing turmoil amongst the members in the executive team. So my solution for this is to nominate someone who is of the newest pledge class or of the newest recruitment class, because basically they haven't been implemented into the chapter as close within all of the traditions and values that we do have. Now, what this position can do is, one, it can go one of two ways. The first way, they can grab that new member and kind of suck them into the ideas that they have already started to create that bias in that executive member. Or two, what this position can do is this position has to remain unbiased during every voting and not speak based on his own personal opinion, but what the members think as well. How he can do that part is either do some sort of democratic vote within before leading up to this constitutional bylaw or change, or he can discuss and speak with several different other members and kind of see where their mind is going. Within our fraternity, it is a lot like a government. We have people who are definitely more Democratic. We have people who are definitely more Republican. As we've seen within this previous election, we actually had to tell our members to stop talking about it because it caused a lot of turmoil within the brotherhood. Something we need to do is find that middle ground and balance within this Democratic and Republic and make sure all members feel valued and heard. And that's what this member at large position is supposed to do. However, when the member at large position goes to someone who's already been implemented into a set group or clique, this causes a lot of negative bias because obviously decisions will go one way over the other without any members getting any say in what is said. So the next thing we're going to kind of discuss is talking about whether or not changing something on the executive board can be done within the constitutional bylaw soon, or that kind of process. So how our constitutional bylaws work is you get about a month to prepare a bill. This bill is presented and we do parliamentary rules, which basically means we follow Robert's rules. You have this amount of time to talk about your bill. You get asked questions for this amount of time. We either slate it, we vote on it, or we deny it. And within that, I feel like more positions, if they were elected versus appointed, that would help the situation. Now, you don't know this, but there are 11 positions on our executive team. We've got president, internal vice president, external vice president, VP of membership, recruitment, health and safety, pledge educator, and I'm forgetting a couple, secretary, treasurer, our sergeant at arms, and then our housing manager. Now, within those 11 positions, we try to keep it even. That way you can not get a split vote of 5-5 and up to the decision. So within this, if more of these positions were elected versus appointed, the general members would actually get to select more people that represent them on the executive board versus the same friend group coming on. The previous year, aka this past year, the president, the pledge educator, and our sergeant at arms, three of the more powerful positions on the executive board, all lived together and shared the exact same ideals and values, which made it very difficult to speak against them, especially with someone representing us as the president. So I feel like if we elect more of these positions, it'll not only change the course of how certain people run for these positions, but also it'll pick people who want the positions more than people we just think would do well at them. And that's part of the issue. Within motivation, if you're selecting people you think will do well at them, but you don't think they have a strong work ethic, their work will not be as impeccable as someone who actually wants the position because they're driven. They have that passion towards it. You can't force someone to like something. That's just how it is. You can try, but at the same time, that could cause resentment, hate, and overall cause more issues within the brotherhood. The issues with this is it takes way too long to get this ready. With us having nominations and elections starting this Monday, November 9th, we don't have time to do that. The 4 positions that are elected are president, internal vice president, external vice president, and member at large. We don't have that opportunity to change maybe 4 to 7. And this is going to be an issue leading into this next executive team if someone does not recognize and stand up and say, listen, we cannot elect people all from the same type of background because that's where things don't get done. You actually want some discourse and chaos within an executive team because you need them to figure out the best decision possible. And the best decision is not always the first decision you come to. You have to be able to really evaluate and have people challenge your thought process to really scope out and delve into those issues. That way you can properly solve them. And kind of the last thing I want to discuss is what the Brotherhood's doing currently. So within this Brotherhood, due to COVID-19, also with us just losing a fraternity brother, this executive board has had one of the most hardest years to deal with. But I don't feel like that gets to excuse them for any conflict or management that could have been done earlier. I feel like as an executive team, we lost the idea of brotherhood because we became so much as a corporation. It was pay your dues, attend meetings, go home. It wasn't go get lunch with your brother. Check on people's mental health. Make sure people feel okay and included. How are we actively keeping retention? Those are the questions I'm consistently asking myself within this next election is when I decide my vote for whoever I think should be these 4 positions, I'm picking people that I know are actively going to make change because we're becoming very stagnant within our fraternity. And with us being one of the top houses on campus and top chapters, it's easy to get stagnant because what you're doing may work. But the times are changing, and you've got to find new ways to figure out this solution. So for me, I want to make sure that we're actively voting in the right people and also discussing with general members what their thoughts are and who they think is the right people. Because while I have my opinions and why I personally think some people may be right, someone can easily sway me being a senior. Because at this point, I've done all I can for my chapter. I get to be a general member who's in elections, get to ask questions, and go about my day. But some of these members will be in here for the next 3 to 4 years. And I need to make sure that they're adequately prepared, as well as love the brotherhood enough to stay within retention. And so that's a couple of my ideas. But that's not going to stop there. As I continue working through this weekend, especially within the design thinking practice, I'm about to meet up with a couple of my other fraternity brothers to actually create different brainstorming methods and potentially story mapping to better discuss what are the options and potential of actually solving our issue. While this project is quantity over quality, I wanted to address just a couple of ideas that I came across. So within my ideation methods, re-expression, and the other one I decided to talk about was called brainstorming, which while it seems so simple, what you actually do is one person writes down an idea, and then they get to talk about it for a minute, and then you pass that idea to the next person for them to elaborate on it, which challenges them to think about the person's original idea and make it better. The difficulty with that is people can come into multiple issues with that. So within brainwriting, you have to make sure you have an adequate group of people that also have different views and values. And that's not always the easiest thing to do when you're supposed to be a brotherhood. So this is what I wanted to discuss within this project. I definitely have more ideas coming way, and I definitely think like I'm adequately learning more about how to be a critical thinker, because ultimately, while I am a strategist, it's always okay to get more ideas. And that's what I love about my type of leadership is I love to look at all of my options before finally settling on what might be best for not only me, but my chapter and my brotherhood as a whole. So thank you so much and have a great day.